Hello and welcome. My name is Alan, and today we're going to talk about something a little more bitter when it comes to American history, and specifically a song that deals with it. We're going to examine. The song we are going to examine is known as Strange Fruit. If you've never heard it before, please look it up and take a listen. I cannot express how much this really encapsulates the Jim Crow era. The song was performed by Billie Holiday and Nina Simone. Um, and it was written as a protest song. Billie Holiday actually was under threat and personal cost for performing the song. The song itself was written by Abel Meeropol. I'm butchering that name. Meeropol, I believe. Um, but essentially, the song talks about the lynching of African Americans during the Jim Crow era. With that, let's get into the lyrics. Again, I won't be playing any of the song itself. I don't want copyright strikes or claims for what is essentially discussion where you're not supposed to get them anyway, but the way some people are, some companies are, you'll never be able to post them without them trying to strike or claim them anyway. Uh, but here we go. First verse. Southern trees bear a strange fruit. Blood on the leaves and blood at the root. Black bodies swinging in the southern breeze. Strange fruit hanging from the poplar trees. Second verse. Pastoral scene of the gallant South. The bulging eyes and the twisted mouth. Scent of magnolias, sweet and fresh. Then the sudden smell of burning flesh. And then the final verse, the third verse. Here is the fruit for the crows to pluck, for the rain to gather, for the wind to suck, for the sun to rot, for the trees to drop. Here is a strange and bitter crop. And that is the actual lyrics to Strange Fruit. Again, let's go over these a little more in detail. In the first verse, southern trees bear strange fruit. So essentially, they're comparing the hangings and lynchings of African Americans in upon the tree limbs in the South to fruit. They say it's a strange fruit. And the next line, blood on the leaves and blood at the root. This gives a gruesome idea of, you know, how vile, bloody, and despicable the act was. The next line, black bodies swinging in the southern breeze. So essentially talking about the hanging corpses after they pass, still hanging in the tree. Strange fruit hanging from the poplar trees. So again, the comparison to fruit just hanging from trees. The next verse starts, pastoral scene of the gallant South. Just you think of the beautiful landscapes of the South and everything. But then they follow the bulging eyes and the twisted mouth. So, despite this, you have these lynched people, the hung people up on the trees, and of course, the eyes will bulge and the mouth is twisted as they're writhing in pain before they die. So, the scent of magnolias, sweet and fresh. And again, it's that contrast of what's beautiful about the South, but what's horrible. Because then it follows up with the line, then the sudden smell of burning flesh. And this, is talking about people literally being burned to death. They weren't just hung. There was all kinds of despicable and horrible things done to them. And in the final verse, here is fruit for the crows to pluck. I mean, crows will feed on carrion and everything, and so the bodies are dead, they're rotting, so the crows will peck at them. For the rain to gather, for the wind to suck. And that's just talking about they hang there after death, just being battered by the rain, the wind. For the sun to rot, for the trees to drop. Just talking about being there days in the sun and the bodies rotting, eventually falling from the limbs. Here's a strange and bitter crop. And it just talks about the gruesome and horrible idea of lynchings and just comparing them once again to food, to fruit. Because, what else is supposed to hang from trees but fruit and nuts? And unfortunately, at this time, it's talking about the death of people being hung from trees. But yes, Nina Simone, Billie Holiday they both did fantastic versions of the song. Please check it out. If you want an idea of the pain that was felt during Jim Crow era. But anyway, as always, educate thyself, think, read, study, learn. I'll see you all again in the next video. But until then, later.